Only opposites attract, Batman! Tiki here, and I am sitting here watching through Batman the Animated Series for the first time. And folks, as we get closer and closer to the end of the initial Batman the Animated Series run, man, we're getting into some dark territory, some dark themes. I'm really excited. I don't even really have the energy to have a clever analogy to have Dragon like really urgently jump in. But Dragon, tell him why we're here, my friend. Tell him why we're here on this journey of ours.
Well, you see, folks, long ago I made a vow to educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series, serving as his, spirit guide to Gotham in a way.
All right, now, folks, due to an unforeseen snafu in regards to the way that Amazon Prime lays out their episodes, we announced the wrong episode last week, and that means that if we don't amend this, we're going to be one Bill Dozier intro short, and we cannot have that. So, Dragon, if you will, my good sir.
Baby and Croc turned Bonnie and Clyde. New looks and new voices. Nuclear Armageddon. Can Batman and Batgirl foil this distinctive couple's disastrous date night? Or will their inevitable subterfuge destroy all life in Gotham? Tune in to find out. Same animated bat time, same animated bat place.
On the next visit to the animated Batcave with Love is a Croc. And Dragon, that visit is right now.
Yeah!
All right. So Love is a Croc. Yeah, this is a very interesting one, Dragon. I feel like it kind of reminds me of, it's maybe a little bit lighter of an episode than Courage the Cowardly Dog's The Mask episode, but it explores kind of similar themes, and I don't know, it's weird. It goes back and forth where it's like, you got Killer Croc being somewhat abusive, but you got Baby Doll being very, very, possessive, just clingy and possessive. So I feel like it's a very interesting, like, obviously toxic relationship that we're showing on screen. You warned me that this season was going to get dark, and it's getting dark, my friend. So I think it begs the question, Dragon. Who's the villain? Is it Croc for going nuts and wanting to kill her at the end? Is it Baby Doll for putting him in the situation to begin with? Who's the villain, Dragon?
Now who's the villain?
Oh, God. All right. Anyways, but yeah, overall, Dragon, I don't think it's like one of the top tiers of the season, but I would probably put it solidly in the B tier of the season. I liked it quite a bit.
That's interesting. Yeah, this one's kind of an infamous episode, actually.
Really?
Yeah, well, I mean, given the whole follow-up to the Baby Doll episode kind of aspect of it, it's kind of infamous for that fact. This one was kind of like one of those, the revamp episodes.
It wasn't going to be as good as Baby Doll, so maybe this is a case of, like, me not going in with super high expectations, but, I mean, in regards to the Baby Doll thing, Dragon, I thought, man, it's tricky. For the most part, I think they did it fine. I think, Dragon, where they faltered, and I think where, the fan base is probably coming from, correct me if I'm wrong, is that Baby Doll towards the end of the episode especially is very one note. Like, I don't know, Act 1, Dragon, Act 1 is where the character sings. Act 1 is like absolutely what I want to see out of a continuation of this character. Would you agree?
I would agree.
So it's interesting that we'll kind of get into the episode. I feel like with the episode it kind of gets into the character's delusions, and the more delusional she gets, the more she gets into that kind of like Baby Doll mode. So I don't know, it's interesting, but is that what the fan base was focused on, Dragon? Just the kind of like how over the top she gets?
Well, I have a theory as to where things go awry, and that basically after the Act 1, which again is very Baby Doll consistent, we kind of take away the really kind of fascinating duality of Baby Doll, like the whole, like, she's trying to be, she's Mary Doll as well as kind of like the TV personality, where she just basically becomes the TV personality, just kind of goes goes kind of from 0 to 60 and just kind of like, kind of goes to like nuclear Armageddon. That's kind of like, my that's kind of where I'm coming down on. Again, I think the majority of the fan base though is pretty much like there's a lot of shock. There's kind of a shocking adjustment with the redesign, and again, especially after kind of these
I don't mind the
surprising
redesign. We'll get to that. I think with Croc, I think Croc gets a little bit of a downgrade, but look, Baby Doll, I don't mind the redesign. We'll get there.
Well, the point being, I think we'll break it down. Maybe you'll see kind of where there's also some stuff that maybe doesn't hold up as well when I go back to this one. I kind of get maybe what the outcry was back then. I don't know.
Sure. I mean, like I said, it's definitely not top tier, but I would put it. I would say grading wise, I'd give it a solid B minus. I don't. I think it's slightly above average for the thematic themes. For the themes it was trying to tackle.
Let me put it this way: I do not, by no means do I think it's like the worst that we got from New Adventures. I want to be clear there. Again, it's not terrible. It's just I think it could have been maybe it could have been plussed a little bit more, But anyway, so let me get to
Disney Plus Dragon.
Anyway,
over under that Disney Plus buys out Batman the Animated Series in the next 10 years, Dragon.
You joke, but there actually is a question of would the '60s Batman TV show go on Disney Plus? Because technically,
oh dear God, I would love it. I would love it.
Anyway.
All right. Anyways.
All right. So let me get through the kind of the bona fide on this one. So,
sure.
The director, we have the wonderful Butch Lukic directing this episode. He was one of the animated series' premier story artists. Great guy. He was worked on Phantasm. I want to say also Sub-Zero, but pretty much he was like the story guy on like the original animated series, and worked his way up to directing episodes on Superman the Animated Series once Batman was kind of shelved for a while. Kind of when it reached the end of its run, and he gets on New Adventures, and we saw an episode from him already this season. We saw him do "You Scratch My Back," the Catwoman Nightwing episode. That one he did.
Remind me, I liked that one a bit, didn't I?
Well, not
no, I was kind of uncomfortable with it more than anything else. I think, right?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Wasn't that the stick in my craw about that one?
Yeah, again, I think we were kind of sympathetic, and the Nightwing stuff was awesome, but the kind of the graduate style Catwoman stuff was kind of sticking in your throat. Yeah. Which, in a sense, some of that gets brought to this episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say, interestingly, this is also like another like uncomfortable relationship episode.
That's what. So that's the interesting little note here for the episode is that this season we do have a lot of examinations of relationships because again we have the Nightwing, Catwoman, we have this, and then of course we're building to a huge one. And there's a couple along the way that are really interesting. So yeah, there's kind of a relationship theme to the season. All right, so the writer. Now, the writer is a big one. Okay, so the writer is someone really notable. So the writer on this was Steve Gerber. Does that name ring a bell for you?
Oh man, I'm sure we've heard it a couple times, but no, not off the top of my head.
Okay, so Steve Gerber, he's really famous for his contributions to the Marvel universe. He created Howard the Duck.
Oh, okay.
So Steve Gerber, he created Howard the Duck. He created Man-Thing, which essentially is kind of Marvel's version of Swamp Thing. Not nearly as cool in my opinion, but he had done he also created the Fool Killer, which we'll be talking about soon once we reach a certain kind of Netflix series, but we'll get there. And he worked. He'd done a couple episodes of Superman the Animated Series. The most notable thing that we've talked about that had a little bit of Gerber kind of fingerprints on it so far was World's Finest Part 3. He was the third act of the World's Finest movie.
Okay.
Okay, now Steve Gerber, he was essentially, from what I understand, he was friends with Paul Dini. So they probably worked together on Superman, and because Dini's pretty much always there for these series, just even if he's not kind of coming down from the top of Bruce Timm. He became more involved as it went through. He was always in the writers' rooms. The point being, Dini and Steve Gerber, kind of got to know each other through the industry and everything. They're pals. And Steve Gerber is, as you can kind of tell by Howard the Duck, the man really goes against the grain. He loves weird ideas. Gerber makes a business out of weird. And he has 3 episodes in New Adventures, and all 3 of them are really weird episodes. And Tiki, this is not the weirdest. There's going to be.
I can believe it, Dragon. I can believe it.
I want to say there's an episode. I don't know if you've kind of glimpsed this episode or not. There's the weirdest episode coming up that you're going to be all for. It seems, but we'll see.
Which one is it?
Want me to tell you the title?
Yeah, tell me the title. I'll let you know if I know of it or not.
Critters.
Oh, you know what? It's interesting. I don't know of it, but like the thing about it is, Dragon, I was like actually kind of browsing what episodes we have left, and that one definitely stuck out. I was like, "What the hell? That
Okay, so,
sticks out like a sore
so I'm
thumb."
just gonna tease up this. Okay, so Critters is as Gerber as it gets.
Okay.
It's the Gerber baby, man. It's the
Oh
full-on Gerber baby.
man.
Anyway, so the point being, Gerber has like a unique, kind of ironic kind of approach to superheroes in comics, which definitely kind of bleeds into his 3 episodes of, of New Adventures. And this
Yeah,
is
interesting style though. I always appreciate when we get a personal touch to the creators involved.
absolutely. So that's interesting. And again, big old kind of comics legacy, and he kind of ticked off Disney and Marvel so much he kind of went to the DC things eventually, which kind of brings us to now. Let's see, the studio. The studio worked in this was again it's Coco within parentheses Dong Yang, but let's face it, mostly Coco. Unfortunately, the days of being blown away by the warm embrace of Dong Yang
God.
are memories. Of course, they had done episodes like Double Talk, for example, or I believe as well, Cat Scratch. You scratch my back. And let's see. So again, I already kind of mentioned the infamy of the episode with the whole is kind of like it's kind of the eye chart of like, oh, you're pairing these two guys together, and this is your follow up to Baby Doll and all that stuff. So it's kind of you're all caught up. All right.
Yeah, you know what, Dragon? I think as a novice fan who's watching all these episodes through the first time, I think I'm in a unique position now where it's like I'm gonna kind of shed some I'm not in the position of like I've been waiting years to see the next Baby Doll episode. Um so I'm gonna defend this one, man. I'm gonna do my best to defend like what I see and what I like about it.
All right.
All right, let's get into it. So we start with a classic kind of like black and white intro, Dragon. Looks like a man and a woman walking up to a house, and uh-oh, shenanigans.
Yes, we're watching an episode of Love That Baby, the Baby Doll series. Which, by the way, fun fact, if I recall correctly, I'm pretty sure I do on this. This is one of only 2 times we use black and white in New Adventures.
Oh, okay.
Which, again, considering how much we use in the animated series, is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're watching an episode of Love That Baby, which, we kind of saw in the other Baby Doll episode, but now we've kind of revamped the designs a little bit. So, Baby Baby, did you use the whole box of bubble bath?
I didn't mean to.
This whole bubbly mess comes out. Then she winks the camera literally. Just gives a.
God.
So this is interesting. I got to give the episode props. Again, overall, the episode does do some really neat things.
I really wish that, honestly, I feel like the episode would have been better off. This is a genius setup for Baby Doll. Like this, it's exactly what I want to see in a follow-up to Baby Doll. Like, her trying to live her life, not getting over the Baby Doll infamy, but really taking strides to not let her past or her disability define her. Dragon, that's it. I love this first 5-7 minutes of the episode, man. That's where I'm really coming down on. Sure, I honestly feel like the episode, like, there is interesting things to mine from the Killer Croc stuff. I really do think so. But I would love to see a whole episode just with Baby Doll just trying to live this life,
I agree absolutely. So again, in the creation of this episode, unfortunately I can't substantiate this, but again, just knowing that Deanie and Gerber were familiar with each other and they were friendly, I like to imagine that okay, so Gerber's famous for weird ideas, and Deanie just kind of like and looking for like, okay, well, I liked working with Steve, in Superman. Let's give him an episode, and what's kind of like a kind of a standout weird episode kind of concept that worked wonders that we have in kind of the bank there. Well, I created this character, Baby Doll. Let's maybe use her. Let Steve kind of run with her, and it's kind of kind of legitimize a lot of this here, where it's like, okay, let's basically Steve Gerber kind of legitimizing the weird, which again, Act 1 of this episode absolutely does. Act 1 does feel very Deanie-esque in a sense, which, by the way, given Deanie's love with kind of the reform tale, I believe this is it's not a reform episode by any stretch, but this is kind of like the ending of it.
Though, and I'm disappointed that it's not.
I know, right? And that's the thing. Like, this is like kind of the last glimpse we have.
It's kind of like one of those episodes where it starts out and you're really into where it's going, but then it kind of takes another turn. And Dragon, I feel like it's kind of like a miniaturized version of, like, let's say, Luke Cage season 1. I know this is a weird comparison, but like, I feel like the second half of the episode with the Croc stuff, I do feel like there's really interesting things to mine from it, Dragon. There like themes of abuse, themes of kind of possessiveness in a relationship, and I'm here for it. I'm here to kind of talk it out and mine what we can get out of it. But yeah, overall, I do think that this is a case where the first half is definitely stronger, and it kind of lulls you into like you almost wish the episode just wouldn't take the turn that it takes. You wish the episode would like just keep going on with this tone, because I feel like the tone we scratch in this opening segment, Dragon, frankly, it's honestly one of my favorite scenes in all of New Adventures so far.
And think about it, she and the ventriloquist have been the closest to getting an actual reform going at kind of the points we check in with them in these episodes. Where so far, again, she's adjusted. She's in Batman. Took her in. She presumably kind of got healed up, and she's, mentally, she's kind of doing like a 9 to 5 thing, running a hotel. By the way, so again, I love just getting this hotel sequence. I love that we kind of have we go from the television to reality, so which again is kind of symbolic of her whole gimmick. She's moving past her own TV show, which is kind of what we're doing with the recovery now. So we have the Fetters couple come in, who are a very cool '60s looking hotel, by the way. Really nice design.
Yeah. I dug it. It was kind of like Goofy movie-esque.
Yeah. So we have this, presumably like a tourist couple, given how they're dressed, like they're visiting Gotham on holiday. Which why the heck would they visit Gotham? Basically, the only reason you visit Gotham is the architecture. Then you get out of there.
Oh God.
Anyway, so this tourist couple returns. Presumably, the wife has dragged her husband Harry, who's kind of been celebrating too hard. He's basically as drunk as a skunk, and then they've lost their room key. I must have lost it when the sidewalk hit me.
Oh, jeez.
Very sitcom-y pair, by the way. I love their very, it's very much the wife complaining about her husband, kind of dynamic. I don't know. It's kind of, again, nice skin tying in the reality and the TV, kind of the whole Act 1 of it all there. Anyway, so we reveal Baby Doll as the manager of this hotel. Again, one of the successful reforms. Harry, drunk, and very, very insensitively, he points out, "Hey, wait a minute, I know you. You used to," actually, it's even worse than he says, "You used to be somebody, didn't you, on TV?" But
you were Baby Doll. You got that disease. It's a condition, not a disease. And I love how Baby Doll is trying so hard to keep it together, Dragon.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, and I can, as someone who kind of has to deal with panic attacks and shit like that, it's like, I can kind of relate to this shit where it's like if someone's pushing your buttons and pushing your triggers, you have to just do everything you can to keep it inside. So maybe that's why I emphasize so much with this particular moment.
Right. So then we have this great. I gotta admit, it's insensitive, but it's kind of funny. Just so you went nuts and you tried to kill Batman. So then very stupidly, he's asking, and you just established, because he's drunk, I assume he completely forgot the whole way he just said, he tried to kill Batman, so he's going to kind of antagonize her. Hey, why don't you do something funny? So with it, he practically assaults her. He's rips the little, kind of her bun out of her hair, make her look a little bit like Baby Doll with the hair coming down.
Okay, and I love this look. I love when Baby Doll, takes off the glasses and gives that, menacing smile, Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great freeze frame.
He kind of Karate Kid honks his nose, but more brutally. It's he grabs it. Doesn't. Yeah, we don't get the kind of the fun version of that here. It's it doesn't go honk. It's no, that would have been funny. That would have been given into this punk, but no. Grabs the nose, slams him down to the old registry book, and slams it on his head. Oh, I didn't mean to. And she's off as she just kind of leaves this jerk to kind of stew in his juices. Okay, so she goes back to her room and kind of contemplates life a little bit here. Is kind of looking within. Let's talk about the design real quick here. So again,
I don't like it. I really don't. At all. I don't know. What's so bad about it, Dragon? Tell me.
Well, I think it's one. I mean, kind of the half the charm was that she looked like an actual Baby Doll in the other design. She looked, and I really like.
The thing about it for me is that, in the story of the episode, in the Reformation, in her efforts to, get past that Baby Doll look, I appreciate the fact that she realistically just looks more like a person who happens to have that disease. Or that
I will
condition,
give you.
I should say.
I'm going to give you points there. Like, again, mainly the design in this scene comes off the best because,
Like, honestly, I feel like it's one of the few redesigns that actually adds to the realism and not just like the fluidity of animation.
yeah, but also if you look again, looking at her face in this scene, especially when she goes to like this monologue about, I'm not a baby, I'm not a child, I'm different. When she does that, the animation does in streamlined design, redesign her facial animation's really on point. When we do that sort of stuff. So that's the main reason we have said redesign. I think, let me put it this way, I think it comes across a lot better here and aids in all your points, Tiki, in that. When this scene, she is Mary Doll. She's not Baby Doll. The Mary Doll came off gangbusters, but when we do Baby Doll again, it just doesn't have the same kind of.
No, I hear you, and that's going to be the thing. Yeah. Like, obviously, I've only watched the episode once, so I don't know how that's going to hold up as I go through it again with you. But I don't know. Like I said, when we get to Act 2, I've got some interesting Killer Croc Baby Doll, relationship observations. So we'll get there. We'll get there.
But the other interesting thing too is we didn't just change the design on both her and Croc. We changed their voices, so we don't have Alison LaPlaca who didn't.
Yeah, that is a shame. That is a shame.
And again, I'll give points where points due. Lorraine Newman, Lorraine Newman's like one of those, like, in a Pixar movie, any animated movie, Disney or not, you're going to have that section that says additional voices provided by. That's pretty much Lorraine Newman's. Kind of like she's in the additional voices. Guys who know that there's a lot of wall.
It's not that she does a bad job. It's just that the original voice is just iconic for those who remember the episode.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at too. Is that again, her performance as Mary Doll, not quite as wonderfully dichotomous as the original, but just as like Mary Doll and the whole adjusted idea, like like that whole like I'm not a child, I'm just different. Like that's good. But again, when she's like playing the over the top Baby Doll, it just doesn't quite have the same. I don't know, it just doesn't have quite the same kind of appeal.
I'm with you there. I'm with you there.
So again, so Baby Doll's frustrated. People are kind of seeing her, as her condition. And also, I like this level that we've added with the revisit to her, is that her whole shtick was that she's living in the TV show. She's living like a celebrity. She's stuck in the past. She's stuck, she's stuck in the past, trapped in her own celebrity. But now she's trapped in her own celebrity, infamous celebrity as a Batman villain. So now it's like kind of like, as that guy pointed out, and then you try to kill Batman. So like she's gotten the full child star experience now, which is terrible. All right, so then she's
the buff dragon.
Yes. All right, so she's putting on essentially like a TV Land marathon of her own show, and then she's trying to skip away from that, trying to avoid that, which ends up on a little bit of court TV in Gotham, which in Gotham is a lot more interesting than Judge Judy.
Now, Barney, what I tell you about the way that we treat prisoners, Bon?
Right. Anyway. So, Killer Croc's on trial by like little Yogi Bear on the couch too, by the way, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, that was a good touch.
All right, so we have the trial going on here, which is pretty much, again, I guess like kind of more of like an OJ trial in the regular in Gotham before it's like a Judge Judy sort of thing. All right, so
Killer Croc is let in with a straitjacket. Let's see, the judge is like, have you anything to say before I pass judgment? Croc's like, yeah, I'm a victim of prejudice. Look at me. Nobody understands how rough my life's been. Just because I'm different. And Dragon, I gotta say, the Baby Doll empathy, man, I can feel it. It's a very realistic thing that Baby Doll, like, who's super alone, obviously, can attach herself to. So I'm still with this. I'm still very much with the character up until this point. There is a point where she's going to lose me, make no mistake. But, just tracking it right now, I'm still very much feeling it.
All right, so a couple things to break down here with Croc. Okay, so one, this kind of lends credence to the theory I've been laying out for a long time in the animated series. This is kind of where that theory comes from, where the credence... villains like the Penguin and Killer Croc, we usually don't see them in Arkham. Like Penguin, we never see in Arkham because, again, he's pretty much sane when he commits his crimes, and he's always kind of good now trying to strive for legitimacy. Killer Croc, last time we saw Croc, it was that sideshow episode in season 3. Remember, he was trying to, he was being transported to a prison. Now, two things. My theory has always been, little headcanon has always been that depending on the crime, that will determine the sanity and like if you're going to Stonegate or Arkham Asylum. So it depends on like kind of these like one time Croc was in Arkham, therefore he did a crazy crime to get there. In this case, Croc is also Batman's intervention does, as we saw Poison Ivy in the trial episode. The intervention of Batman does also kind of like kind of bear like if these guys are crazy or not.
Yeah.
So I like that we're kind of determining that here, but also a little fun fact. I kind of did a deeper dive just to make sure of something. Yeah, Croc is on his way, maybe not even to Stonegate, because Croc is not from Gotham. Croc was born in Miami. Yeah, Croc's origin is set in Miami. Then he moved to Gotham. Therefore, every time, like in that sideshow episode, and basically when he's getting transported,
appropriate that he's a crocodile and he's from Florida. Very, very appropriate.
Exactly. That's my boy, and I love that. So basically, if Croc actually gets caught and then he gets convicted outside of Arkham, then there's usually a chance that he is going to go to a prison in his home. He's going to be extradited back to Miami, back to Florida. So yeah, a little kind of fun layer to things there. Anyway, also Croc's redesign is more comic accurate here, which again, I was so used to the old look, and I liked the idea of the old look. He looked like a man.
Yeah, Croc's redesign, I'm not going to defend it. It's much more simplistic. It doesn't really have the same sort of oomph. Like I said, character-wise, I can appreciate what they do, but yeah, the redesign doesn't look great.
I know, it's just like, basically, I always wish they could have gotten a medium, because they opted not to do the green color in the animated series, but again, his design looked like man meets crocodile, man with a skin condition, where in this case, it's just he's full-on, like, mutated crocodile guy. He's got, as they've kind of nicknamed, he's like Godzilla in pants, pretty much, just doesn't quite have the kind of the same oomph. I agree. And also, again, after Sideshow, within this scene, I love, is with the characterization, is that we know Croc, he refused his opportunity for change, and he made a deliberate choice that he could have kind of found a niche with the Sideshow circus community, and kind of like maybe reform, but he chose not to do that. Recidivism at play. So it's really interesting that we're kind of delving into these themes again. Unfortunately, we're not going to go as far as with it as I would have liked. It seems like we're going here.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So anyway, so the point being, he's being tried for murder and does not go his way. He's going to be extradited, and then Croc freaks out. He breaks free.
It's like you would think, with all given a straitjacket, like claws. People, the dude's got claws.
Yep, and again, really strong crocodile man too. That's it's not helping either. And again, by the way, first time we've ever said he got away with murder. I mean, second to the Joker in that Holiday Nights episode, we've acknowledged that Batman villains have killed people. Yeah, pretty big.
All right, so I love the imagery of him just like kind of like holding up the chains, and then of course the guards just kind of like jump on him, but he throws them off onto the judge. They're trying to sedate him, trying to shoot him, but no, it's too late, Dragon. They're overpowering him. He jumps out.
Yeah, of course. Who's waiting for him when he jumps out?
Batman.
So I love, by the way, during all this, Baby Doll is rooting for Croc at home to escape. She's like, "Go, go!" She's all excited. And again, this is really good stuff. Where So as she's watching this, the fight is escalating as Batman heads Croc off. Basically, after having some really cool moves, like he throws Croc into the front of a truck, and then he tosses a batarang. Croc catches it in his mouth and spits it out. That's awesome. And ultimately, within the fight, Batman, he kind of heads Croc off, and he kind of shoves him, and then just bam, punches him, and then uses the old bat sedative and tranquilizer gun to take him down. Then we have a real kind of it's a big buy that Baby Doll happens to live next. Either she lives really close to the courthouse, or
yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna beat around the bush that this episode has logic problems, Dragon. It certainly does. It's not a perfect episode by any means.
I mean, again, I'll give it a buy. Like she's really close to the courthouse, and she was so excited, she just ran to it for some reason. I don't know. Point being, it's dramatic. It's dramatic, darn it. They're star-crossed, darn it. Anyway, so let's see. We have Croc, and this is the first time we've ever seen this. Is awesome. I love seeing Croc sell in Arkham. I love what they did here. So we have Croc, and so Croc is in Arkham before he's going to be expedited. back to Miami. So it's this cool idea of putting him in a cell with bars, but below the bars is this giant water tank, so he can kind of swim around. I mean, it looks
It's almost
awesome.
kind of Shape of Water-esque.
Yeah, you know me. I love me some Shape of Water, but I
Of
don't
course.
necessarily approve of this pairing in a Shape of Water. Anyway, so we have this guy who's tapping on the glass, and the guy taps back like, "Hey." So Baby Doll's visiting Croc. How does the scene go?
Yeah, so she's just feeding him raw chicken, Dragon, and
A basket of
basically
raw chickens.
she's just kind of like coating him and just like, I admire I admire your gumption. I admire that you don't let your physical differences get you down, and I think we're kindred spirits in a way.
Yep, and then we have, I like this too. I like that there is kind of an ambiguity with the episode. I think deep down Croc does like Baby Doll, and this scene kind of speaks to that, where the whole kindred spirits thing does land with him, but Croc's not dedicating a lot of time to it here. Where
Well,
it's like,
because he doesn't have a lot of time, as he points out. Like, should
yeah,
have met me sooner, babe.
yeah, I'm going up the river tonight. Which, by the way, there is the implication that Croc, again, being tried for murder, he might get executed.
Honestly, that is the implication that I caught on to, Dragon. I don't know about you.
No, that's what I'm saying. Every time I hear going up the river, I mean, sometimes this means you're going to prison. Usually,
I
it
mean,
means
the way I read it was very much like in that van, he is being led to his to his execution.
exactly. Especially, I mean, they don't say how Croc killed the guy, but I mean, traditionally, what Killer Croc does, and what we kind of see will be the final nail in the coffin, legalese wise, is that Killer Croc usually eats his victims.
God.
He's a cannibal, so presumably, I don't. Unless you're Alan Shore on Boston Legal, you can't argue your way out of cannibalism.
Oh God, Fox Kids, man, Fox Kids, you gotta love it.
Oh no, Kids WB.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kids WB. Kids
That's the
WB.
thing. Fox wouldn't allow this, but no. Kids WB. We can have guns. We can have implied cannibalism. We can get away with it.
Oh man, what's
Uh,
going
that,
on?
Anyway, so again, also this whole scene, a little bit of shades of Mad Love to come. Again, this is a big kind of little again,
Of course.
especially given the way given the way Mary Doll's dressed right now, a little Harley Quinn-esque. I'm just saying. Anyway, all right. So, and of course, given what happens too. So later on, Croc is heading to prison. She says she kind of teases up maybe fate will lend a hand. Maybe don't lose faith yet. So, little girl's playing in the streets. I wonder who it is. Little girls playing in the streets, and then I gotta tell you, man, it's a little broad. And this is kind of where we're starting to get a little off the rails here, literally. The truck, the transport veers off and heads over the guardrail and flips over like a bunch of times, and so transport brutally goes over the railing and flips, and we have these disoriented guards, and we have almost this sitcom-y moment of, "Kid, you almost got us killed." I
didn't mean to.
She then does this. I love the gadget though. I love how she has this awesome like little toy taser gun that just like shoots these little, basically tases them. It's awesome. So Croc is freed, and she jumps, basically hugs his head. So we have this kind of, she's as delusional as ever now. She's completely off the rails, as deluded as she's ever been. Now, baby and Precious can be together forever. Where we have Croc's like situation comedy face, like, oh boy, what now?
All right, so then we have traffic in Gotham City, cars honking, and underneath all this traffic, though, Dragon, we have their hangout, and it's a really cool looking hangout.
Yeah, it's very much like what if Tim Burton did a sitcom? That's pretty much kind of what it looks.
This is exactly that, yes.
So yeah, so we have kind of the sewer-based lair. Time has passed. They've gone a little bit of a crime spree. Croc and Baby Doll. They've created this little hideaway. She's jazzed it up. He's just found the space. And Croc is returning from quote unquote work in the fedora and coat.
Oh God, Crocky!
Babe, I'm home. I love he's calling her babe, not in like the romantic sense, because it's like a shorthand for baby doll. Like, hey,
yeah,
babe.
That's the thing. That I'm glad you point that out, because that is one of the subtle things in this episode. Like, yeah, all the babies, and all the dolls, like, those are generally pet names, but no, each of them apply to her just as kind of like a shorthand or a reference to her.
Yeah.
So it's fun. We play around with that. We play around with pet names in the episode for sure.
So she greets Crocky Wackles as he walks
Oh
in.
God.
So I gotta tell you, then we have this. These are some of the bits that are kind of starting to get a little messy. We
Dragon,
have like
the thing about it, I know that they're repetitive. I know that it's kind of like it reduces Baby Doll down a little bit. Like I wish there would have been a slower transition there, but I do think it is very representative of a clingy and codependent relationship.
no, we are in Tiki. Believe me, there was a moment coming up that really spoke to me within that the whole relationship angle. It's one of the great moments
Sure,
within
but
the
I'm just saying, like, for me, I understand, like, I could see where people have a problem with the baby doll stuff, but to me, the stuff with the relationship dynamics kind of, like, resonated with me enough throughout the episode that I didn't really overall have that much of a problem with it. Like, I understand that it's a bit of a downgrade from how complex she's characterized, and it's even a little bit of a downgrade from, you know, like we already established in the first 5 minutes or so, where she's really in full blown, you know, kind of reformation mode. But I don't know, man. Like I said, I think the interesting thing about this episode is it shows the dangers of falling in love too quickly. Dragon, as you know, I'm no stranger to that.
well, sure. Well, Tiki, my point is like that's all fine, Dan. But I mean, like when she's jumping on his face and kissing him, it's a little weird for me.
It's
You
a
know,
little
it's like
much. Yeah, it's a little much.
that's what I'm saying. That's the bit. That's a little bit like kind of the Gerber twist. It's kind of like, oh man, it's just I know I get what he's going for, and again, Gerber trying to legitimize again basically the stuff you're talking about there was just like still it's like little baby kissing this crocodile, man. It's a little icky. So, anyways, he tells her next to the mushy stuff, he brings them their reviews, which essentially are all the newspaper headlines about their recent kind of criminal escapades. So basically, the duo's crime spree has labeled them the Gotham's new Bonnie and Clyde. Also, by the way, if you look at this newspaper, it got some funny like Easter eggs. Like Bruce Timm is on the paper. It says like
nice,
BT quotes, DVD is the next 8-track.
Oh God.
And you have Ted Blackman on the other side there. It's like fun little nods.
So Croc's been back for about 5 minutes, and he takes one look at his big stack of greenbacks there in the cupboard, and he decides to go out again. You know, he's not a man who's stuck to his woman, Dragon. He's a free man.
Yes, and this is the moment I was talking about, Tiki. This is my favorite moment within the relationship of these two. So, by the way, a little fun fact, they actually went to Metropolis, and there's like this headline that says, Superman's hands are full. Because again, both of these shows, this is where we're starting to cross over them now. They're both going on at the same time. All right, so Croc's heading out. Baby Doll pleads for him to, she wants to come. Like, come on, let me go. Like, very much like a child. And Croc raises a hand to her. But he relents because he just looks at her and
I'm glad you're mentioning that because that's absolutely a visual motif that we touch on. It's like a big rule of threes thing throughout the episode where we build up to him, going from like restraint to full on abuse.
I know, that's what I'm talking about. That moment, just the humanity in that moment just really spoke to me. And that again, Croc deep down, this is kind of the sideshow thing. Deep down, Croc connects to what she said in that cell, and that's why they're kind of working together.
Absolutely.
Some of that is true, but again, it's a question if Croc himself can you kind of commit to that, which obviously, as we're going to see, is not the case. So, Baby Doll's planning the next job as Crockles goes out.
I love these nicknames.
Forms the Crockles of my heart, Tiki. Anyway, so Batman and Batgirl, meanwhile, kind of the other pair of the episode, which get nice.
Yeah, I just want to point out Batgirl does have a pretty decent arc in this episode, Dragon. Maybe not an arc per se, but I like that they're building her up. I like that they're giving her screen time.
Batgirl has a runner for sure. And again, it's like an episode about couples and pairs. It's nice that we can have like Batman pair.
Oh no! Oh no! An episode about uncomfortable couples and pairs, Dragon.
Yep.
Oh God. All right, I'm just not going to touch that one anymore with a 10-foot pole. That subject can just go back in the closet.
Just trust me. Just save it for the next episode. Right now it's fine. The next episode's when things get a little iffy with that.
Oh God! Oh,
next episode's
I don't want to.
It kind of inches. It goes a little. Anyway, we'll get there. All right, so. Anyway, so Batman and Batgirl, they're in the Batboat on patrol. They're on the hunt for Croc and Baby Doll, and they're figuring, well, the robberies are near the water, so they're so she's playing towards her man's strength, and then Batgirl asks the really icky question, "What do you think they do on a date?" And then Batman, I love that we just give
This is the kind of Batman Batgirl dynamic I like, Dragon. The kind
Yeah.
of like the awkward teenager.
No, it's not. Doesn't get creepy until the next one, Tiki. Just
All right. And then Batman's just kind of supposed to go along with it, like, oh, I don't want to think about that.
and neither do I. I kind of wrote in parentheses here. It's like, yeah, I don't want to think about it. Like, I don't blame you, Batman. I don't want to think about it either.
All right, so this is a really clever heist that Croc and Baby Doll pull off. The whole the diversion using the quote unquote small child in the casino.
Yeah, and this makes sense too. Baby Doll was no slouch when she planned her revenge in her episodes. So the idea of her being the brains and Croc kind of being the enforcer and the muscles is a really good idea.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so Baby Doll, she distracts the guard using a little ball that is also kind of a gas bomb. She gasses the place. Croc robs the cashier section of we're on a casino boat, by the way. That's important. It's a casino boat heist, which is really not neat little setting there. So he's like pulling the clerk through the window and like takes like the whole window with him, which is really awesome. Batman, Batgirl, they pull up, in the Batboat, hearing all the commotion. They intervene. Let's see. Baby Doll's pretty much riding horsey on Croc's head. Which again, this is what I'm talking about. This is the harder sell. This is when the harder sells really kind of creep in here. It's a harder sell when she's not solo on the caper during this. That was kind of like, Baby Doll, like, she doesn't really have a lot to do in these heist moments after she kind of kicks it off. It's like, well, now
it's not perfect. It's not perfect. Like I said throughout the episode, Baby Doll kind of like functionally gets a little bit weaker. I'm not gonna argue that.
I'm with you. All right, so then we have like the hide and seek maneuver where they split up because again, Baby Doll can't really do much in this fight. So Batgirl, she throws a batarang at the loot, which kind of tears it open, much to Croc's chagrin. Batman, Batman attacks Croc. He gets flipped in the slot machines. I'm going like, oh my god, poor Batman. That must have hurt. He just gets flung into the slot machines. Croc, he then tosses a roulette wheel at him, which basically traps.
That's a cool action beat right there.
It really is, yeah. And of course, again, I love using all the casino. Again, last time we had a casino fight.
Dragon, casinos are great action set pieces, man. I just feel like they're really reliable in that regard.
Oh, that they are. So, because last time we did something like this was Joker's Wild with the whole Joker casino.
And then I also think of like Black Panther.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah.
All right, so Batgirl, she's trapped under a table, and
Canto Bight was fun as a location, even though story-wise it didn't need to be there.
Again, had it been like a short film or something.
I will still attest to the fact that thematically Canto Bight is interesting as a concept for a Star Wars planet.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. Anyways.
An episode of Clone Wars. It's fantastic.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So Batman's pinned under one of the other roulette wheels, like one of the spinning kind of picket wheels. I believe is what he's pinned under. Anyway, so he's pinned under. Maybe it's just a roulette. Anyway, he's pinned under a wheel for a moment. Baby Doll wants to leave. Croc refuses to leave until he gets the goods, until he gets the cash. So yeah, it kind of shows you where the priorities are. So before Batman can use the sedative on Croc, which usually kind of how you take down a big guy like Croc. You're there, throw a giant rock at him. That usually works. Baby Doll throws some exploding jacks at Batman. We gave her something to do, I guess. She throws these exploding jacks at Batman, which serves you right, you mean old bats. So the couple escape. The couple escape. Meanwhile, oh yeah, we have like the wait for baby, which again, it's not that.
It's not great, I know.
Wait. Anyway, so let's see. So Batman goes to pursue him. Then we have a really funny Batgirl moment here. The wonderful Tara Strong is Batgirl here. She's just like, "I'm fine, thanks." Just again, the theme of the episode between our two factions here. Like women kind of getting the raw end of it this episode.
All right. So meanwhile, Croc's kind of throwing a little bit of a tantrum regarding the bat.
Yes, yes, and also Batman kind of spotted the money trail, so he knows to check the sewers. Yes, yeah, Croc is upset. The Batman interrupted his big score, which again, when you rewatch the episode, you know, okay, so Croc's really upset because he wants to skip town. He wants a big score so he can skip town, also leave Baby Doll behind.
Uh-huh.
Which again is really cruel, but Baby Doll doesn't know this yet.
Who's the villain?
Now who's the villain?
All right.
I really don't know if that applies to this episode, but it's just fun to say.
I think it applies to this episode to a certain extent.
Yeah. So Baby Doll's trying to cheer Croc up with like the promise of a new plan, but Croc leaves again to air out his frustrations. Baby Doll begs again, echoing the previous scene, but no dice, and let's see. I'm not in the mood.
Dragon, this is kind of like one of those like. Do you feel bad for Baby Doll because she is like generally like in a place where Croc is being neglectful of her, or do you feel bad for Croc because she is kind of like being in a place where she's kind of suffocating him?
No,
that's kind of where I'm getting at with the who's the villain stuff. Like, I think it kind of speaks to the toxicity of bad relationships in general. I don't know, just my 2 cents. Anyways, what's next?
Right, next. Let's see. So next, all right.
Big shock.
Yes. So Baby Doll gets, she gets shoved as they leave in the hole. But Baby loves Precious. So yes, we're at the Live Bait Tavern on the docks. Of course, everything happens on the docks in Gotham. So Croc somehow he's attracted. Now I gotta admit, this kind of deflates the episode a little bit here. So Croc has attracted ladies somehow, which again, his whole big my looks have kind of stunted me. This kind of defeats his big courtroom plea from earlier when you think about it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I guess the implications that money and reputation in Gotham, women always like the bad boys.
That's what I got out of it, Dragon. It didn't bother me that much.
I mean, sure. I'm just saying it's like not in the same way. When you think about the episode as a whole, it's like maybe kind of deflates his big plea a little bit. I don't know.
Sure.
Anyway, so he basically announces his plans. He kind of gloats about he plans on ditching the Cupid doll after the next big score, and then leaving town, going solo. And then we reveal who witnessed all this, who overheard all this.
Who did, Dragon? Baby Doll did.
Yes, he was of a heartbroken Baby Doll, kind of planting a very noir-y revenge.
Oh God, and I don't know, that's the thing about it, Dragon. The revenge, it's like it might be out of character, but it is dark. Like, you gotta admit, it is pretty fucked up.
Well, now I think about it, she did try kind of a suicide plan in the Baby Doll episode, so it's not that out of character.
Man, I don't think it's that out of character for her.
No, it's not that out of character, but it's just kind of massive is my thing. It's like, I mean, look, there's a suicide plan, but then there's a genocidal plan. All right, anyways, I have this really fun gag where Croc's sleeping on the couch with like a baby bottle, and this baby doll just jumps on him like, "Oh, what? What's wrong?" What happens?
Baby kind of jumps on him and just like basically apologizes, says like from now on you can go wherever you want, whenever you want. Kind of cuddles up to him, and Dragon. This is another kind of good emotional beat here. Like, I feel like Croc, he likes the cuddle for a moment, but then he kind of like cuts it out. It's like he's fighting against his feelings very subtly, I think.
Yeah, I think he's a little guilty deep down, like, she's apologizing for stuff she doesn't need to. And anyway, so he's like trying to brush off the mushy stuff and just kind of forget this. I don't know what. No second thought. So as he's grabbing some more chicken from the fridge, she entices Croc with the bestest and biggest job yet. It's going to keep Baby and Precious warm. Emphasis on the warm. For evers and evers.
Oh, God.
Which, oh boy, there's a sinister plan of brewing there. Meanwhile, so Batman and Batgirl, I love this idea, by the way. I love that Batman and Batgirl have been searching the sewers of Gotham for 2 days, much to Batgirl's chagrin. Well, again, very wonderfully, he's like saying, man, I'm never going to get my costume to smell right again. It's terrible. Like Batman's saying, isn't this better than just waiting in the cave for another crime to happen? No. It's not. So they find the lair, and then Batman finds a baby doll's drawing. I love this. This is a hysterical idea. The baby doll, just because of personality, she's she has a very expository drawing of her plan.
Yeah, yeah.
Version of the blueprints are like the giant power plant, basically the power plant on Mid River Islands where she's heading. So a very disturbing drawing, by the way, of like the whole power plant exploding and everything. So Batgirl examines a doll, and of course that doll sets off a kind of a bomb, a security bomb death trap. Which I love this. I love the design of this thing, by the way. So like the doll is like the speaker. There's a crocodile on a house that holds the bomb.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the perfect intruder thing. Then we have one of my favorite things Batman does when he saves somebody, Tiki. I love it when it comes to the Bat family. When Batman, he just rushes and he grabs like a Robin or Batgirl by the waist and like drags them somewhere. So I love that. Like, about to go off, he like grabs Batgirl by the waist and they jump into the water. It just dives in the water. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's really well timed for sure.
That's my guy.
So we get a nice little like fire over the water effect as they kind of like dodge that disaster.
Yeah.
Then Batgirl has a really funny line. She's like, "Ordinarily, I don't approve of spanking, but in her chance." And then Dragon, Batman, approver of spanking children.
Well, you know what they say, Papa Spank. All right.
Oh, God.
So, anyway, let's see. So, Batman, Baby Doll. We're now at the power plant. Baby Doll's revealed her crazy plan to Croc. That basically she's primed the power plant for critical mass.
Joint
which
suicide. Wee.
She's planning for it to make it kind of melt down, which will take her, Croc, and Gotham with it. Like if I can't have you, no one else can. Essentially, like Croc's.
And we can be lovers forever and ever and ever.
Right. So yeah, I mean, she's talking about turning Gotham into a I don't know how accurate this is. Turning Gotham into
it gets dark, man. It gets really fucking dark.
Turning Gotham into a radioactive wasteland for 20,000 years, and like she's breaking the news to Croc. No, we're not. He thinks, oh yeah, we're gonna hold it for ransom. No, she really callously says, no, we're not gonna hold it for ransom. It's gonna be just the two of us are gonna die together and take all of Gotham with us. So yeah, she's completely gone warped and insane, which again, maybe a little. I think the whole nuclear Armageddon's a bit much, but again, we've already established that. So anyway, I'm just saying, given the personal stakes, this feels a little massive. All right, so she encourages Croc, hey, by all means, shut it down solo. Which leads to this hilarious bit where Croc's looking at the controls as if he has any dream of shutting it down. So then we have like this great. I always love this Bat gadget, man. It's not my all-time favorite, but it's like I always like when it pops up in this episode. The Batman throws the little the mini Bat Sonic disc onto the window, which shatters the glass, which really helps on a Bat entrance, so he doesn't have to keep crashing through the glass. It's kind of a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Breaks that. Croc, he tries to warn Batman that hey, she's gonna nuke the whole city. And Batman's like, punches him like, shut up, I already know.
Yeah, Batman is like not hearing Croc out in the slightest in this moment, Dragon.
To be fair, he already knows. He's kind of ticked off at Croc for like leading her on. And everything.
Right.
It's like, I gotta reform that work, darn it. Anyway, so Batgirl, she's kicking. Also, by the way, when Batgirl swoops in, she just kicks Baby Doll across the room, which violence against children, kids, WB, yeah.
God.
So it's up to Batgirl to put her Oracle skills to the test here to kind of stop the whole critical mass meltdown of the place. And this is like, Batman's asking, can you shut it off in a minute? You'll either know or won't care. So we got some action, some fight, Batman versus Croc. Baby Doll attempts to flee. Batgirl saves the day, which then leads to our showdown, which then gets to the third act of your big, domestic violence thing, Tiggy.
Yes. So, the big moment where Croc does indeed just kind of like just slap her across the room very violently.
Well, more so, like he's almost trying. He basically grabs her by the leg. She's trying to flee and just drops her to her death.
Oh yeah, right,
So he
yeah.
drops her into like one of those giant industrial fans. Not the place is going to melt down. It's just kind of still working as usual. So like he just drops her, and my God, it's quite harrowing. Like no, you can't escape. You're going to suffer. And he just drops her like a sack of dirt, man. Just drops her into about to go into this fan. Batman
So I
saves her.
feel like in that moment, Croc is the real villain, like pretty definitively.
I mean, he manipulated her emotions as it went forward. So Croc, yeah, ultimately Croc did turn into a villain, sure.
All right.
But yeah, so then let's see. So then he and Batman are mixing it up. He tries throwing Batman into said fan, which then we have a bit that I don't. This bit always bothered me. It's like as Batman's being lifted, he drops the trank gun, and she tries the trank Croc, but somehow it shocks him. How did she get that wrong? What happened here? It's an injector gun. It's not. I don't understand. Anyway, so point being, it doesn't work, and I think at this point then she gets knocked across or something. Anyway, so but Batman Batman hits him in the face, which then they both kind of are tackled onto the lower platform. We have this really awesome bit where Croc's trying to shove Batman's head into the fan, and the bat ears, the metal bat ears, are just like scraping it, which is awesome. So then he essentially punches Croc a bunch of times until he hits the wall, and then we have a really brutal thing we do to Croc. Again, kids WB, we can get away with it somehow. So Croc, in a desperate move, he's trying to grab these pipes, but Tiki, what do these pipes say?
Caution, right?
Yeah, caution, like hot pipes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Batman's warning, Croc, don't!
So basically, doesn't Croc just get like a bunch of hot steam to the face?
Yeah, like steam and just boiling hot water, essentially. It's kind of like hydro blasted, but scoldingly hydro blasted across, and then Baby Doll confronts Croc just like very tearfully and just like, you shouldn't have made Baby mad. So like now she's turned into the abuser in the relationship.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Dragon. The episode just it's always switching it up like that, and that's kind of like one of the things I like. There's no clean cut good guy or bad guy in the scenario. And you know what? I'm just going to kind of leave that as my final thoughts. That's kind of ultimately the thing that I really appreciate about the episode. I think that it's I just think it's a really good kind of like morality play where there's no clear cut answers. Like it's a very gray story, and I think that's pretty rare for Batman the Animated Series. It's certainly not a top tier episode. I'd put it at like a lower B tier, but I still think it's quality, man. I really do. I still think there's a lot in this to appreciate on a thematic level.
Right. Of course, the whole ending too. The whole like we could have lived happily ever after, just like on TV, bringing full circle to the TV.
Fantastic, yeah, great beat to end on.
I mean, look, this episode again, by no means the worst thing they've ever done in the New Adventures, because there are a couple of contenders coming up. Some sooner rather than later, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But so for me, unfortunately, the episode kind of here's the thing: barring Act 1, the episode kind of comes off as a Baby Doll cash-in to an extent. But here's the thing. In reality, again, it's a logical, let's give Gerber kind of our strange yet amazingly, effective character that they can make some good stuff with. And it just, to me, it just doesn't hold up as well as I think I remember the first time when I watched it. And it just doesn't quite come together as I hoped it was. It kind of lacks the Deanie spark that kind of the other Baby Doll episode had. I mean, after the initial premise of this episode, which again is kind of the old broken record we keep playing during this thing. It just kind of feels like the case. I mean, the problem is I think we lose the dramatic crux to Baby Doll after the pair meet, and we go way too big in the end. Where I just feel like a smaller, more intimate story, could have really worked here. Like for example, there's like a tie-in comic where Killer Croc was in love with Summer Gleason, as in you can do like kind of a Croc and love story. We've kind of seen that done before. Again, kind of a small scale sort of thing, emotional stakes. I'm not saying we should have gone exactly that route, but I mean, I wish like we kind of did yet another sideshow here where honestly, you keep talking about the perspective shift of kind of the abusive relationship here. Part of me would have been more interested if after we set up our premise that we kind of saw the episode, we kind of shifted the perspective to Croc's for the rest of the episode, at least for an act, where...
Yeah, I hear you.
What if, like, Croc, basically kind of the way he was using the circus, the circus freaks from the, from the sideshow episode, kind of like the way, like, what if we showed Croc he deep down he liked Baby Doll, but he was growing fond of her as he was using her the whole time. And then he was faced with another kind of fork in the road decision. But maybe ultimately we kind of reveal she was her delusional kind of like trying to make the world like a TV show, trying to make her life with Croc like I Love Lucy. Just it's unfeasible, and maybe Croc would be justified in how things go. But that's me rewriting the episode, which is not fair to it. But I don't know. I wish I liked it a little bit more than I do, but it's okay. I guess just when you compare it to the other things with these characters, just kind of pales in comparison a little for me. That's just my 2 cents.
All right. Okay, what's next, Dragon?
A passion for pyrotechnics, a heartbroken stalker, an incendiary combination for sure. Can Batman save Gotham's latest pop sensation before she gets burned? Will Mysterio sue? Tune in next time to find out. Same animated bat time, same animated bat place.
On the next visit to the animated Batcave with Torch Song.
Oh, Crockles.
I didn't mean to.